This is the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast with your host, Kevin Murray.
Welcome in. I'm excited to be here today. We're going to talk about another 10 ways to set your fantasy football draft order. Last week, I had the opportunity to interview Bob Lung, the creator and host of the Fantasy Football Expo in Canton, Ohio. If you haven't heard about the Expo before, check out that podcast. If you want to go to the Expo and you're on the fence, make sure to jump over because it is an incredible experience, something I highly recommend. If you create fantasy football content or you just consume every ounce of it you can find, this is the greatest place to be. Every year, people come together to Canton, Ohio, Pro Football Hall of Fame, and get together and have a multi-day event that is just such a great experience. So highly recommend getting there. Learn more about the Fantasy Football Expo. You can find that at thefantasyfootballexpo.com. Incredible event. Highly recommend. Make sure to check that out. So, and if you didn't listen to that podcast from last week with Bob Lung, make sure to give that a listen because it's a great podcast and getting to know Bob Lung a little bit better. So happy to be here again. Like I said, we're going to cover some more ways to set your fantasy football draft order. Now, looking ahead, though, we do have another exciting campaign starting up at the beginning of June. Last place punishments. This is going to be a ton of fun. Make sure you're following FF Unlimited or Fantasy Football Unlimited on all social media platforms because this is some fun content. You know, what's better than finding out outrageous ways to celebrate the last place position in fantasy football. So it's going to be a ton of fun, 100 items there. It's going to carry us deeper into the summer. And I'm just excited for that 2023 season that is going to be here before you know it. So without further ado, let's talk more about some fantasy football draft order ways to set your fantasy football draft order. So last time, we talked about just some of the standard, the standard ones with the computer randomization, reverse order of standings. We know that's not going to cut it. That's not fun. That's not going to create excitement within your league. And that's the whole point of this. When you want to bring your league to the next level so everyone has a great time and your league bonds and the connections within the league grow and strengthen, then you want to do stuff to provoke excitement. And obviously, creating fantasy football fun and excitement through setting your draft order is just a fun tool to use. It's just another way you can get excitement brewing. So find a way that works for your league. Try it out. If you don't like it, try another one next year. So we left off after number 10. We're looking at number 11, shot glass roulette. This is also one of those ones where you show up to the draft. You don't know what you're going to do. You're going to draw some playing cards. You're going to draw names out of a stinky hat. No, let's not. So let's go with shotgun roulette. Basically every shot glass has a number on the bottom of it. You just randomize the order. Everybody gets into league draft excitement with that shot, and that sets your draft order, whatever that number is underneath the glass. So fun way to do it. You can also do that, at a house, at an event, prior to the draft, just to make it a little more fun. That's one way to randomize your order. The next one is phenomenal. Like easily one of the best ways to set your fantasy football draft order. And there's not a lot of debate with that. Video game simulation. If you haven't seen this, it is so much fun. Essentially, you get a video game. I'd say obviously one of the best ones would be some type of WWE Royal Rumble, because what you do is you set up, all the characters in the Royal Rumble. It's a battle royal. Everyone's coming into the ring and fighting each other through a video game. And you basically can customize your individual wrestler to each league member. Now, how fun is that? I'm talking, wardrobe and attitude and expression. How fun is that? So go get yourself a WWE video game that's got a Royal Rumble on it, and go from there. Google it. Look on social media. There's a lot of great examples. I've provided a couple examples as well. And for the league to get together and watch a video game simulation with all these wrestlers, and that's determining your draft order. I mean, that's fun. That's what it's about. Everyone getting together, having a great time, watching something play out. I highly recommend that. You can also do that with with like a Madden simulation where you simulate a season. Every manager gets a team and you simulate a season. You can have a championship game at the end where everyone watches together. But either way, I mean, if you can watch this stuff online or get together and do it, those are great ways to do it. Video game simulation, I can't recommend that highly enough. So number 13, we have the NFL draft. We've already obviously passed that on the calendar this year, but something to consider in the future. The NFL draft is such a spectacle, such a fun event in the NFL calendar, on the NFL calendar. The way you do this is you basically randomly assign individual players to league members, and then everyone watches the draft together. And where those players are drafted, that sets your fantasy football draft order, or the order in which you select your draft position. So you can do it where you pick 12 likely first round picks and just get it all done with that first night, opening night in prime time, first round. Everybody gets together and does it. That's great. Or you could actually get players that are deep into the draft. So basically the process, the drama, the anticipation is drawn out over the 2-3 day draft period. So you can have fun with the NFL draft. It's fitting for fantasy football. It gets your league mates a little more into the draft. If you're just basically a redraft player that shows up in August, at least you're going to get people more invested into football by letting them learn about the prospects that are coming out. So fun way to do it. The next one, playlist shuffle. So I'm a firm believer that branding your team, your league first of all, your league name with logo and whatnot, and then everybody in the league having a logo with their team. They're just kind of a flag that they can stand behind and be proud of. It's important. I think every team should have a logo, and I think every team should also have a theme song, because that can be incorporated in many ways in hype videos, trash talk videos. It can be incorporated on draft day with walk-up music. Every league name, you can find a song out there that's fitting and matches up. So get everybody in your league a theme song, and then you do a playlist shuffle. Again, you can do this at the draft. You can do this at a special event prior to the draft. But basically, you get everybody's theme song on a playlist, and you hit shuffle. And the order in which the music plays, that's your draft order. Fun way to do it. I mean, I think that incorporates a few different elements that provoke more league engagement. So I like that. The next one, Kentucky Derby. This is something that's been done, something that a lot of people love, and I think it's exciting. The Kentucky Derby is one of the most exciting couple of minutes in sports. It's fun. It's springtime. Just getting your league together, watching the Derby, and assigning horses to league managers. And you can go deep. I'm talking take the lowest 12 seeds in the odds in the Kentucky Derby, have those horses run, so it's a little less predictable who's going to win. But the Derby and other horse races are wildly unpredictable. So no matter what horses you select, you're going to have fun. And then you can also do other contests to give your managers a chance to select the horses that they want. So run another contest prior to the Derby. Any of these contests, ways to set your draft order work. So you can pick some other contest to give managers an advantage of when they're selecting their horse. It's still randomized in the end because anything goes. But there's just creative ways to do it. And I think the Derby is a great thing to center your fantasy football league around when determining draft order. The next one, a non-sports event. This can be so much fun too. A reality TV show that plays out over a few months. The Bachelor, Bachelorette, The Voice, American Idol. Basically you can either, again, have a way to select, the contestant, or you can randomize the contestants. Either way, it gets people to watch a multi-month process of a reality show where you can, everyone. It just creates more communication and trash talk and fun outside of the fantasy football season and league. So a reality event would be great. You can also, find out when the national spelling bee is and just assign kids to league managers, national contests in any sport, cheerleading or anything you can come up with that's broadcasted that people can watch live, or anticipate when the event happens and see how it unfolds. There's a lot of events out there to make it fun. So I think that's a great way to do it. So, and then next up, a pick'em contest. I love this too. This is a fun way to do it. You basically can do a pick'em contest. Everyone in the league, you can do it with the NFL side by side with your fantasy football season, where you have a pick'em league, pick'em contest, and each week everyone in the league selects who's going to win, who's going to lose in the NFL, and then you run that pick'em contest during the season, and that determines your fantasy football draft order. You can also do a pick'em contest with your fantasy football league. Everyone selects predicts winners each week in your fantasy league, and let that be your pick'em contest. Definitely a fun way to do it. Next up, a survivor pool. This is also another similar thing to pick'em. Basically, everybody enters a survivor pool where you pick a winner each week. It's got to be a different winner each week of the NFL season. And as each week progresses, if your team gets upset, you're out. So you can create standings that reflect the survivor contest, and let that dictate your fantasy football draft order. Survivor pools are so much fun. It's a great way to, again, just extend your fantasy football league into something else and have fun with it. It's also very objective. I mean, if you really care about trying to be fair with fantasy football draft order selection rather than just some completely randomized thing or rewarding losing, the survivor pool or a pick'em contest, you're at least showing some skill in regards to fantasy football prognostication or NFL prognostication. You're predicting things, and it's an objective way to win a contest. So those things are cool. Also, that kind of ties right into like a bracket style contest. The NCAA tournament, perfect example. It's used all the time in fantasy football draft order selection. Everybody gets randomized a team in the tournament, and that ends up determining draft order. Or more likely, you just fill out a bracket. You fill out an NCAA bracket, college championship, men's college basketball championship, or you can do women's. And then whoever has the best standings in your bracket contest, this dictates fantasy football draft order. That's classic, wonderful way to do it. It's just like, the Derby is bringing everyone together in a sport outside of football, outside of this football season, and bringing people together to connect. And the NCAA tournament is as classic as it gets for something like that. But you can also do brackets for any sporting event. The NCAA tournament's not the only one. I mean, you can do the NFL playoffs. Your fantasy football season ends. Now everybody fills out a bracket based on the NFL playoffs, and standings there dictate draft order. Or you can do, you can do any sporting event essentially that has multiple teams competing in a bracket. You can all fill out brackets and let those standings dictate your fantasy football draft order. Next would be sports betting by itself. Essentially, you take multiple events. You take, Super Bowl, Stanley Cup, NBA Finals, NCAA tournament, soccer tournament, the Masters, the U.S. Open. You collect a bunch of sporting events that everyone's going to predict a winner. And then you let the standings of that contest dictate your fantasy football draft order. Great way to do it. And I will say this, and I haven't said a lot of this yet, but it's really the name of the game. If you take multiple contests, all these contests, you can choose multiple contests out of these. Pick 10. Maybe everyone in the league, 12 people, everyone picks a contest on this list of 100 ways to set your fantasy football draft order. And then you merge those contests together, and the final standings and however you want to score it dictates your draft order. So you can always take multiple events and do it and set your draft order. I like that. That's in the end, that's going to be what I recommend to everybody. I think that it just makes sense. You're basically taking multiple events over the course of an off season, keeping your league connected, having fun together. It's all about maximizing your league experience, staying connected with your league mates, and having a good time. And what's a better way to do that than to maximize the off season with something like this, draft order selection, and having fun with it. So those are the ones we're going to cover today. The next batch can be more league related, league scoring, league standings, that kind of stuff. So these are some fun ones, some different ones that I'm excited to go over. But like I said, last week, great interview with Bob Lung. Go check that out. If you're enjoying this contest, make sure to share it with your friends, league mates, family members, anybody that loves this game of fantasy football would probably find some value in these podcasts. So I'm excited to bring them to you. It's a great passion of mine to talk about this stuff. And there's so much more to talk about within fantasy, though. So this brand is called Fantasy Football Unlimited for a reason. There's endless things we can discuss, endless ways to make fantasy football fun, and part of that is through the interviews that I'm doing. So it's great to get to know people within the industry even more, and I want to share those people, those personalities with you. So this week, I have an incredible interview with JJ Zachariason, Late Round Fantasy, one of the most incredible podcasters out there, content creators, leaders in the industry. I'm excited to connect with JJ and share that podcast with you guys. So until next time, you guys have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to the Fantasy Football Unlimited podcast. Until next time, be sure to follow and subscribe to all of FFU's social media accounts for daily content.